Shout out Coryxkenshin. Now this story absolutely blew my mind because of how creepy this story gets. Y'all already know what I'm about to say. Go get your snacks.
I just started off in your world.
This lady Cindy was in a relationship, married. After leaving her husband, after divorcing him, she moved into this new neighborhood, this new house. When she moved into this new spot, she felt relieved, good. Until one night she got this phone call. When she picked the phone call up and she answered it, it was somebody sounded very angry, saying that they're gonna hurt her. Before she could even react, the person just hangs up. This was late at night. I know she felt a little bit off, but she just brushed it off. The next several days, the person would call her and do the same thing over and over again, sending her threats. She thought it was some terrible prank until this one night, and this when it all changed for her. She was in her kitchen and she seen that she left the window open and she felt like she was being watched. So she walks up to this window to look out of it. When she gets to the window, she look out of it and she don't see anyone. So she closed the window, she closed the curtain, and as she walked back to this kitchen, the phone rang. It's late at night once again. She hesitated about answering the phone this time, but she picks it up anyways. When she picks it up, the person said, "The curtains cannot protect you." Now at this point, she know it's serious. So she hurries up, she calls the police. They arrive, and when they investigated the whole house to try to look for evidence that this person, they couldn't really find nothing. There's nothing they could really do. Me personally, I would have moved out. They gave her the option of getting an unlisted number so this person can no longer contact her. Thing is though, the person know where you live. You can walk out that house, anything can happen. You can leave your window open again, anything can happen, and you can even leave your back door open to walk outside in your backyard. Anything can happen. So she got the unlisted number. She thought it was a great idea. She thanked the cops. When she got this unlisted number, the person would still call her frequently, and the threats got even much more terrible. Friendy one day went out with her friend to go get something to eat. When they came back to her house, Cindy seen that her window is broke. You know those front doors that had the glass on it? So when she seen that, and her front door was unlocked, so the person broke the glass to reach their hand in and to unlock the door. Meaning this person could be in your house waiting for you to maybe fall asleep. So they stopped before they go inside and they listened up inside the house to see if they hear anything. They didn't hear anything, so they go in, both of the girls go in and they investigate the whole area. All the lights are shut off. But when they go upstairs, they see a whole bunch of feathers everywhere. So they follow in these feathers and it led to Cindy's room. She opened the door and she see that all of her pillows been ripped. Her room was totally destroyed. She hurried up, calls the police. When they arrived, it was really still nothing they can do. There was no clear signs of who done this. So that's why the cops really couldn't do much for her. Around this time, doorbell cameras on houses wasn't as common. It was in the early years, so Cindy couldn't look through her cameras to see who was doing this. Several days go by and she gets more threatening calls until this one day she get this threatening note. This is a real note of somebody threatening her. Picture of her on it with all types of evil words directed straight to her. But then that's when this investigator gets involved. When this investigator get involved, he started investigating the house very much often. During this time period of him investigating to try to look for this person, time went on, Sydney gained this relationship. And they got so close to where he even moved inside her house. To be honest, it's probably the best thing that could have ever happened to her.
In the last 8 years, she didn't know what a normal existence was like. She couldn't go outside her door and feel safe.
Now, when this investigator moved into her house and they started their relationship, a couple weeks passed by, a lot of things stopped happening. The calls, the notes, until this one following week. He woke up this morning and all of the phone lines was dead. So he goes outside and he see that the wires was cut. Then things settled down again for a couple of months until Cindy told him, "Every night I'm hearing something walk around my house but I'm too scared to look outside to see what it is." She said she'll get pictures of dead bodies tucked under her window car and there would be raw meat just sitting at the door. She even walked in her backyard and seen 3 dead cats hanging in her backyard, in her garden. Then that's when everybody thought for a second, she's really distressed. She's really gone through this extreme paranoia. What if she's not even having a stalker? What if none of this is true? The investigator said no phone calls while he was there for all of them months. He don't hear no one walking around the house. Every time she says there's a stalker, we don't see no evidence. Every time a cop stays by and watch out at the house, is nothing at all. So they tell themselves, what if none of this is true? Like, just all in her head. Because the only reason why we know about anything at all is because it's coming out of her mouth. If that wasn't the case, it would be like a normal day for everybody else except for her, apparently. So because the investigator didn't take her seriously, she broke up with him, she moved, got a new place in another town, and she started over. This weird accident happens when a friend Agnes, right before she was about to move, Sydney was the only one home, but her friend Agnes pulls up, walks in the house, and she sees Sydney tucked in this corner. So she walks up to her because she's tucked in this corner by the stairs, just sitting there. When she walks up to her, she sees this black stocking around her neck. When the friend touches Sydney, she looks back at her with the most biggest eyes ever. The friend said, "What happened, Sydney? Are you okay? You're good?" She said, "When I was in the backyard, the person jumped out the shed and attacked me with this black stocking and wrapped it around my neck. He was choking me to death until your car pulled up and it spooked him. He ran away, and that's how I ended up here in a corner scared." Here up and call the cops, but it was no proof that this even happened at all. There was no proof that nobody came to her house. It was no fingerprints. It was nothing but that black stocking wrapped around her neck, and that's it. Now, when Sydney finally moves to this place, she sees this dead cat after several months goes by. Next to the dead cat was a note, and it said, "You're next" on it. Called police, and that's when police decided to set up the surveillance everywhere around her house. And they watched for hours on hours, on days, on weeks on weeks. And every time they watched, it was nothing at all. When I say surveillance, I mean them as in whole. A lot of cops just secretly around the area watching. But soon as they leave, something happens. Because Sydney would call the police and report stalking activity. Then that's when the police decided not to take her serious. She decided to hire her own private detective. What this person did was install the radio in the house. What this radio does is, no matter what happens, no matter what noise happens, he can hear it way from where he's at. He also installed a panic button. If she pushes it, he can go straight there immediately. Until this one night, he was listening through this radio and he heard some noises. He trying to call her through, saying her name, "Sydney, you good? Sydney, Sydney." No answer, but he keep hearing these noises. So he rushed to the house, knocks on the door. She does not answer. Knock again, and no answer. Breaks down the door, and then he sees her laying down on the ground, almost as if she's not alive. Her hand was placed face on the ground with a note on it, and on the note it said, "You're dead." And she had this black stocking around her neck. Brought her to the hospital. They did find a pulse, and when she woke up, she said, "All I felt was this injection in my arm, and I don't have no memory of this attack at all. I don't know what happened."
All of a sudden, behind me, and I don't know where he came from. I don't know what I thought it was going to do, but it was trying to push his knife away or something. I don't think I really remember anything else.
The police think that she staged the event again, but the detectives don't think so. Now here's where it's about to get so strange at. She don't want to be home alone no more, so she invited two of her friends over. One was a girl and one was a guy. They slept over, and during the middle of the night, when she woke up, she heard noise in the basement. She woke her friends up and asked them, "Do y'all hear that in the basement?" They said, "Yeah, I hear it too." So they go to this basement and they open the door. When they open it, they see a fire in the basement. So they hurry up and they go to call 911, but the lines was cut. They run outside to try to get help, and one of the friends, which was a guy, see this man standing outside of Sydney's house just staring at the fire. Meanwhile, the friend waving to him, asking him to call 911 for help. The person doesn't do anything. He just look and then looks that way, started running. This man was never identified. But they finally could get a neighbor to call 911. When the firefighters came, when it was investigated, they noticed that this was intentionally. Somebody did this on purpose, right? The investigator said it was no signs of someone entering the house, so it had to have been somebody who was already inside the house who started the fire. So they specifically said Cindy staged it because she done this all the time. Then y'all remember that husband that Sydney broke up with? Sydney said, "I believe that it's the husband. He's the one that's doing all of this to me." So when he was questioning, he said the same thing has been happening to me with the phone calls. Been going through the same thing. So he was completely ruled out as a suspect. Now this specific day. So her friend Agnes, y'all remember Agnes, right? She goes to Sydney's house. She knocks on the door. Sydney does not answer. She knocks, no answer. You know, they're close friends, so she twists the doorknob and she just lets herself in. The place is completely silent and it's completely dark. She walks around the house to look for Sydney. She doesn't hear nothing. Sydney is not in the house, so she calls the police until her car was found at this grocery store. It was blood all on the car and it was things scattered everywhere. No signs of Sydney though. She's gone. She's not at this grocery store parking lot, not even in her car. They open the trunk and they see the groceries that she clearly bought, but like I said, she's still gone. Till some time passed on and her body was found at this abandoned house. Her hands was tied behind her back with this black stocking around her neck. She was deceased.
She was so afraid to tell me something. And she said, I need help badly, but I can't tell you, Mom. If I do, I'm afraid for you.
When they did the autopsy, they noticed that this was an overdose, no strangulation at all. One investigator proved that you can put your hands behind your back, tie yourself up, while also pretending that you have been strangled. And she staged her own, well, not staged, really done that to herself. Not only that, she had no shoes or no socks. We in grass, dirt. Her feet was clean. So how is this even possible? How is she even able to do this? And so people really believe that she really did have a stalker, and this stalker kidnapped her at the supermarket, and that's how this all played out. Here's where I end the video with these two scary things. Either she was really being stalked and harassed by somebody that we don't know, or she had a split disorder. It's when she hate herself, and then when she gets back normal, she don't realize what happened at all. She done all of this to herself without even knowing.
They will be trying to find out if she was murdered or if she committed suicide. Cindy James was a nurse who lived in Richmond. Her body was found in a vacant lot there last year, 2 weeks after her family reported her missing. For a long time, Cindy James had been terrified. She was convinced that someone was out to get her, and she told police that many times.